Juliana, do you feel guilty when you spend money on yourself?
Yes.
And that's why I go to work, is to buy Juliana nice things and to keep us comfortable. So it's almost like you're not accepting the gift of my sweat and my labor to buy the things that you want to buy.
You don't have to be the person earning the income in the relationship to have a right to use the money. Where did you learn that lesson, that it's bad to spend money on yourself?
When I was little, there was a little trinket, a little penguin, jeweled penguin thing that I really wanted. And I saved up money and I bought it. And I remember my dad saying, like, why did you buy something that is so not practical, or like it's a stupid little penguin, like jeweled penguin. You could have spent that money on something else. This weekend was the first time in a while I didn't feel guilty about going out and enjoying ourselves.
Did you guys end up sitting on the 50-yard line?
Yeah, we were like 15 rows up, perfect view of the whole thing. I took a bunch of pictures and had a great time and met some new people. And so it was money well spent. We both felt like really satisfied with investing that money in a really cool weekend. The budget conversation isn't always the easiest, and it's kind of a low point in the week, it seems like, of we're dreading the budget meeting. What is maybe some tips on a mindset shift or some way to make it more palatable, or engineering hacks? How can we engineer this so it's not drudgery and it's actually,
It doesn't have to be fun, but
the best part of the week is the budget meeting now.
Juliana's over here like, I think it's fun. Yeah, could you share with me, like, walk me through your normal weekly conversation that you have together about your finances? What does that look like?
yeah. So we typically we open up the spreadsheet, we keep our receipts as well as much as possible just to track things easier. And then one of us will typically like look at the receipts or like look at the bank statements, credit card statements, and then the other one will add it together and put it into the spreadsheet. And I know what happens for me is I get so invested on like, oh my gosh, why did I spend this amount of money at the grocery store? Um, that becomes just kind of, I guess, like it's harder,
Demoralizing.
demoralizing, or harder to see the big picture. Like I know I focus, I think, too much on like the little things where, over the course of our lives, $20 extra spent on groceries or on whatever is not gonna do that much.
Okay. So you start off the conversation by looking at your financial statements. You're tracking your spending for the last week. What else? What comes next after that?
Then we'll track up some recurring expenses. All of our like fixed expenses are already accounted for in the lovely spreadsheet that you've provided. And then we'll pay off all the cards, transfer money around so that we have enough money in checking, savings. We'll transfer money into savings. We'll transfer into our buckets. We've been trying to do more of like weekly planning too, just a quick recap of what we did, what we're going to do, and try and do a little bit more like dreaming about what do we want, what are we looking for, how can we improve, not only financially but like at a relational level.
Good. I think that's awesome. I do something very similar. So where's the point of the conversation that it, reaches that point of tension or disappointment? You said the word demoralizing, Juliana. Where's that point in the conversation?
I'd say usually it's after we look at the week as a whole and like where we're tracking monthly. And maybe we need to adjust the budget so it's not as tight. But for me, it feels demoralizing. We're like, oh, we're not able to save as much, or we spent more than we had budgeted. Um, I guess I don't. That doesn't make me feel good.
And then my recurring feeling is that when we set up the budget, we didn't have any data to go off of. And so the numbers were kind of wishful thinking as like, oh, we should spend 500 a month on groceries. And so the idea was let's do a budget so that we see how much we actually spend and then revisit it. And then we can hash out a budget of like, based on real data, how much realistically are we spending versus how much can we cut back. And so it's hard to not reach the goals, but it's also hard for me to understand why it would feel bad to not reach a goal that wasn't based on data in the first place.
Fair enough. I agree with you. You mentioned on an earlier call with me that you've been tracking your expenses for about 9 months. Is that right? Okay. Think it's probably time to use some of that data to reevaluate. And this is actually why I like to call it an intentional spending plan instead of a budget. The goal here is not to be as restrictive as possible. The goal is to align your spending with the things you care about. So, here's what I would recommend is probably the first step. We just need to right size your budget and make sure it actually reflects reality. Easy way to do that. Go take the last 9 months of data. And actually, the spreadsheet I gave you, it does this automatically already. Go take the last 9 months of data and you look at the averages for each of the categories. And that's your real concrete spending, how much money on average you spend in each of those areas. Use that as your starting point for setting your budget. So you just copy over all the averages. Now you know how much you're currently spending in each area. And then you can talk together about, is this how we want to be spending our money? Or do we want to make some adjustments? Usually what will happen after that, after you're looking at your true current spending in each of those categories, you'll come up with 2 different observations. One will be areas that you're not spending enough money that you feel like you should increase. And as an example from my own life, my wife and I, we were looking at our budget at the end of the year. We had a full year's worth of data last year, and we realized we didn't spend nearly as much on dates as what we had planned. We decided, hey, this is something we really need to prioritize in our relationship to make sure we're going on dates without our son, sitting at the table with us. So let's just start spending more money on babysitters so that we can have more one-on-one dates together. And that was a focus of ours, is we need to spend more money in that area. The second piece of this is that you'll also have areas that you probably want to spend less money. And maybe one of those areas is groceries, right? Let's say, just for the sake of argument here, the data comes back and you're spending, I don't know, $950 a month on food. You decide that's way too much for 2 people. Set a realistic goal, maybe 15% or so less than what you're currently spending. Maybe that would be, hey, let's see if we can get this to $800 a month. And that will help you actually measure your progress. It'll make a big difference for you.
Yeah, or even we value eating well, but we don't always spend our restaurant budget. Instead, we spend more on groceries. And so, not like eating out at nice restaurants drives down the grocery bill that much because it's like 1 or 2 meals. But yeah, like you're saying, intentionally spending, putting our money where our mouth is, literally, by eating out more and filling that bucket. Because yeah, there are a few buckets on our budget that are empty, but the total for the month usually never is below what we expected to pay. And so, yeah, I guess just a reallocation, readjustment of how do we want to spend our money? What do we value?
Yeah. Okay. That'll make a big difference. I would prioritize that sooner rather than later. Like probably your next conversation together, go use the data and make all of those adjustments that you need to so that we have the right measuring stick for you going forward. Once you get the right measuring stick in place, everything reflects your true spending and you can set some stretch goals accordingly. The next step is I want to help you get out of the weeds of, it sounds like, Juliana, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're beating yourself up if you spend $20 more than you expect to. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's how to break that cycle. I call it the waterfall effect. It's so tempting when we're looking at our budget to just go straight to that one area where we know we're doing bad, right? Instead, start with a waterfall. So here's an example. You've got, let's say you have like, I don't know, 20 different budgeting categories. And then those are broken up into a couple groups. Maybe you have housing, maybe you have, fun, personal, or whatever. Or another way that some people break up their budget is maybe it's broken into fixed costs, variable costs, irregular or annual costs, and then savings and investments. So you've got 4 buckets, and in each of those buckets, you have various categories that you're spending money on. All of that added together represents your total budget for the month of how much you want to spend. Maybe that comes out to be, I don't know, $5,000. Here's the waterfall effect. When you look at your budget, start by looking at one number. Look at the total. And if your goal is 5,000 and the total is 6,500, okay, we need to go deeper and see where you overspent. But if your goal is 5,000 and you spent 4,800, just stop. You don't have to worry about looking at all the individual transactions. You hit your goal for the month. Maybe it wasn't perfectly allocated according to your categories, but pat yourself on the back because you hit your big goal. And don't worry too much about the small stuff. Let's go there for a second where maybe you did overspend. So your goal was 5,000, you spent 6,500. Now you're going to drill down to the next layer or the next waterfall here. So now we're looking at the big groups. We're looking at, okay, fixed expenses, variable expenses, annual expenses, and savings and investments, or whatever it might be. And you realize, okay, our fixed expenses, those are the same every month. It looks like we were right on budget there. Our variable expenses, that was also on budget. Whoa, what happened with these irregular expenses? They're $1,200 higher than normal. Okay, now we've identified the problem, right? This is the area where you went over in your spending. So we're going to drill into that category. And we're going to look, and maybe under those variable expenses, you realize you bought, plane tickets for a vacation. And that's what caused you to go way over your monthly number. Now we've been able to isolate the area that you need to improve or make some adjustments. And that's where Juliana and Brigham, you'll have a conversation together and say, was this something that we're comfortable with? And if the answer is yes, maybe you just need to make an adjustment to your budget categories to reflect it. Or if the answer is no, then you can make a plan for how to address it.
That sounds like at that point, say it was a travel expense, that could be a time to take money out of a travel bucket from our banking app and apply that and say the real number, like we can empty our travel bucket and say the real number we were over was 300 or 200 and say that's the actual real, like, because we allocated for this. And so we're actually on track because we're kind of not using those buckets regularly. They kind of just sit there as like wishful thinking of like, oh, let's go on a trip and we'll just take money out of this bucket when the time comes. So we're kind of like turning it on its head and like spend the money, use the bucket to fill the budget.
Yeah, if it was a planned expense, then that's not something you have to feel bad about, right?
Mm.
You're just hitting your goal and enjoying the benefits.
Like, I guess, like, usually I don't love spending money, but we did like a spur of the moment. We went to a football game this weekend, and it felt nice to be like, okay, we haven't spent a lot of money on dates the past couple months, so we have, like $400 saved up. Let's buy nice tickets to something we both really like, and
Mhm.
like it was nice just to do that, and we had a great time.
And it felt good to take charge of that because you had indicated that you wanted to go, but I could sense that you didn't want to handle all the stuff. So I just said, this is how much money we're spending. As long as you're okay with that.
I don't know. You said you're like we could either stay over because it was a drive.
Oh, yeah. We could
Like,
either get crappy seats or like sit near the student section or sit way high up and sleep over, or we can just do the whole drive and get really nice seats right on the 50-yard line and really enjoy our time. And so it was kind of, we had the conversation of like, where do we value the money? I don't value staying in a cheap motel just so I don't have to drive 2 hours at night versus having really good seats in the center of the game, enjoying our time. And that's kind of reflected. We filled out this vision document that you sent us, and that seems to be like the recurring theme is putting our money where our values are and enjoying the time. I just want to be able to feel good about it, like we were able to pull off this last weekend, and
Mhm.
feel good about buying groceries too, and not just these one-off purchases.
Yeah. Did you guys end up sitting on the 50-yard line?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like 15 rows up, perfect view of the whole thing, and took a bunch of pictures and had a great time and met some new people. And so it was money well spent. We both felt like really satisfied with investing that money in a really cool weekend for a, go Cougs, undefeated. It was a good, it's not something that comes along very often. And so we felt good about, taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah. I'm interested. So, Brigham, you said that you could tell Juliana wanted to go, but that she didn't want to handle the details of the situation, which I have a
Right.
feeling might equal actually seeing the dollar amount and spending the money. Juliana, do you feel guilty when you spend money on yourself?
Yes. I don't know where that comes from, but I've been we've been seeing it as we do the budget because we have, $200 allocated for each of us per month for personal expenses. So, like clothes or, if I want to go out to eat with friends or something. Um, and I feel like I'm constantly putting stuff on that probably shouldn't.
That's one big gripe I have is so cosmetics, skincare, things that are required for a modern woman should be budgeted for within the larger budget. The fun money is like if you're going to go eat alone, we have a budget section for hygiene, we have a budget section for these things that it's like you take it upon yourself to bear the brunt of the guilt of spending money.
Yeah. It sounds like we're dealing with a case of chronic saver syndrome here, where it's very common in wives, by the way. Not just wives, it could be anyone, but I do see this dynamic pretty often where as the wife or the mother of the household takes it upon themselves to include regular family expenses as part of their personal expenses, right? Things like hygiene that everyone has to spend money on. Probably not your fun money, unless you're going to the salon and getting your nails done and it's like a special occasion for yourself, right? Maybe that's different. But if it's normal things that you have to use to operate in your day to day life, it's okay to use some of the money for that outside of your personal money.
And that's why I go to work is to buy Juliana nice things and to keep us comfortable. So it's almost like you're not accepting the gift of my sweat and my labor to buy the things that you want to buy. You feel like you have to use your own, fun money to do
But
that.
I just think like skincare, like okay, he's
Everyone
got
needs
beautiful
skincare.
skin and he just uses like a 3-in-1, whatever. Um, but you're not using my skincare, so I think that should be under me or like makeup and
Or
my
we can
haircuts
give
are more
you,
expensive. I cut his hair, but I like my haircuts are more expensive because there's more that goes into it. Um, I don't know.
what do you think, Jackson? Do you see this type of thing often?
Yeah. So I want to acknowledge a couple things here, right? First thing is, um, Juliana, you're working full time, you're earning money. You have just as much right to spend it as Brigham does. Second thing, Brigham, you mentioned a really important point here, which is sometimes we want to give a nice gift to our spouse. And by choosing not to use that, it's almost like you feel that sense of rejection as the giver of the gift as well. So I think that's really important to recognize. I actually had this happen myself today. I was having a hard day this morning. My wife left to the store. She came home and she was carrying what she calls her bag of sunshine. She had bought like all these nice things for me to cheer me up and, put it in a nice bright yellow bag and everything in the bag was yellow, like a yellow bag of M&Ms and M's and stuff. It was a gift that she was giving to me because she knew I was having a hard day. If I had taken that gift from her and said, "How much money did you spend on me?" Like, that would have been the worst possible reaction I could make, right? And so, thankfully, I've learned enough about our relationship at this point where I took the gift and I said, "Wow, that was so thoughtful of you. Thank you so much." And maybe the same principle applies here as well. I want to share with you where this goes in the future so that you can be aware of it and we can make a correction now before it becomes a big issue. Right now, it's not a big issue, right? It's kind of a minor thing, but it could become more of an issue in the future. One thing that happens is, let's say this same dynamic continues, and Juliana, eventually you either quit your job or go down to part time because you're raising kids. That level of guilt that you feel spending money on yourself, do you think that'll go up or go down once Brigham represents most of the family income?
Yeah, it's gonna it's gonna
I was going to point that out, but I didn't want to get ahead of. And so my satisfaction in providing, I anticipate, will rise. And so if your guilt rises and my wanting to provide rises, it's just going to be a widening sort of gulf between, you know, satisfying both our needs.
Yeah, very valid point, Brigham. Also, I think it's super important to mention here, you don't have to be the person earning the income in the relationship to have a right to use the money. If you're in a married relationship and you've made an agreement of who's going to be the income earner in the family and you decide a one income family is right for you, the other person is still entitled to using that money. It's your, mutual together, our resources, not his resources, her resources, my resources, their resources. So I just want to make that super clear, in case those earning dynamics change.
From the beginning of our relationship, we've just made everything joint. And so I think we have a lot of good practice in just having everything equal and communal between us. Maybe the emotional side isn't caught up of like each person feeling guilty for their own spending, but we think of it as just the one big pot. It all goes into the pot and we use it as we see fit.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're lucky for that.
Yeah. What do you think it would take to feel good about spending money on yourself?
I know it's the wrong answer, but make more money. It's
Wrong answer.
I guess because like for this weekend was the first time in a while I didn't feel guilty about going out and enjoying ourselves. Maybe just having that because it came out of a separate bucket and that money like I don't know. 'Cause yeah, because it came out of a separate bucket, we already had it, so it didn't affect the day-to-day finances at all.
Hmm.
Maybe made it easier.
Just like how you have a separate bucket for your fun money, right?
Because the buckets are just a construct. We
Mhm.
spent the money.
Yeah, it's just
It's
a
not free money. It's not girl math, or boy math. If I buy this tool and it saves us money going to the auto repair shop, then we just made money and now I can spend all that money. That's my boy math. What do you think? I like to think of money spent as an investment, whether it's actually an investment or if we're investing in ourselves, buying new clothes to represent myself well on a sales call, to me is an investment in my career, in my image, in my reputation. Investing money in skincare, looking your best, feeling your best at work will cause you to perform better. And I think it's all just money going uphill. It's not wasted money because it's a consumable product. It's money spent in the pursuit of a goal, which is to look and feel your best and to have healthy skin. That's an investment in your health. It's an investment in your image. That's how I look.
So fill in the blank for me here. Spending money on myself means that blank.
Means that you're worth it.
yeah, worth it or that I just have needs like everyone else.
100% you're worth it. So, Juliana, what's one thing that you would love to spend money on right now that you would consider wildly irresponsible?
The stargazer cast iron.
Oh, yeah. I wanted a cast iron pan that we have cast irons that are perfectly suitable, perfectly good, but there's a nice one that I've been wanting for a while.
All right, still very practical. I want a new pan.
Wildly
It's
irresponsible. We already have cast iron. That's immediately what I want. That's what
I'm
you're gonna
wildly
say.
irresponsible because I'm buying a cooking pan. Oh, that's funny. Hey, but that's okay. If you love cooking, that's what you want. That's fine. All right. So the Stargazer cast iron pan, how much does it cost?
it's like 200. It's an expensive cooking pan.
Okay.
I
Yeah, that
cook every
is
day.
objectively okay. All right, $200. You mentioned you have $200 a month per person to spend on personal wants. When was the last time, Juliana, that you spent that money on something that wasn't, skincare related, other things that could be considered part of your normal expenses?
Um, I went on on Tuesday. I went and had brunch with a coworker. So we went to like a nice coffee house and got brunch.
Okay, great. That's awesome. Love that. All right. So this cast iron pan, when would it be realistic to buy it?
If it goes on sale for the holidays, I guess. But that's the thing. I've been having a hard time. I We don't need a new pan. We have cast iron pans. They last forever. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me to spend money on non-practical things or non-consumable things. If it's consumable, I don't typically don't have a problem with it or I don't feel bad about it because I'm using it. But if it's like a new dress or like my rush, I'm like, I have dresses. I don't need a new dress or, new clothes. I have more than enough clothes. It just I feel guilty, I guess. That's the crux of it for things that aren't consumable or aren't like just extras.
Well, and one of our values is that we try not to consume more than we need.
Mhm,
And so, sort of an anti consumer mindset when it comes to we have something, it works really well.
mhm,
It's almost to us, it seems unethical to continue to consume the same thing and to continue to amass, for example, really durable cookware. But I don't think, I mean, in terms of upgrading, if we gave our pan to somebody who is getting into cooking, or we gave an old cast iron pan to a person, there's ways around that.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes giving is good, and sometimes giving is offloading the guilt onto someone else. So might want to be aware of that.
Ugh.
But I do agree there's good ways to recycle, and especially if you have, value as a family of like, hey, we want to conserve the earth's resources and not consume more than we need. I can totally respect that. I feel that way too. So, but this feeling of, guilt on spending money on yourself, I want you to look back, think back into maybe your childhood or early in life. Can you pinpoint maybe a memory or a certain age when this pattern started? Like maybe where did you learn that lesson that it's bad to spend money on yourself?
I guess when I was little, um, like there was a little trinket, a little penguin, jeweled penguin thing that I really wanted. And I saved up money and I bought it. And I remember my dad saying like, why did you buy something that is so um
Mm.
like not practical or like it's a stupid little penguin, like jeweled penguin, you could have spent that money on something else.
Thank you for sharing. Incredibly brave to, let that memory rise to the surface here. So thank you for sharing. What would it take to be able to, you know, that memory that you have of the penguin that your dad said was a stupid purchase? What do you think would need to happen to be able to let those feelings go?
Well, part of me is like, he was right. I don't have it. It probably got thrown away somewhere, um, or broke or something. So I guess I don't know.
Few thoughts here I want to share with you. The first thought is that we can have really good parents and still acknowledge that they made some dumb mistakes. That doesn't take anything away from them being amazing parents. It's just impossible for parents to be perfect.
I know, like, I know they were just they're learning as they're growing up too. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't hold anything against them.
Okay, good. So there's no resentment towards your dad. Okay, that's good. That's the first step. So you've forgiven him, so to speak, for this experience. How old were you when that happened?
Probably 7 or 8.
Okay. And so, walking through the situation here, you were really excited. You saved up for this penguin. You bought the penguin. You came home with it. Your dad told you it was a waste of money. What was the lesson that you internalized because of that?
I guess then like, don't buy dumb stuff maybe, or
It's a waste of money to spend money on myself, or it's stupid to buy things just because I want them, not because I need them. Okay. So that's probably the narrative that you adopted. Very normal, by the way. We all have these. If you were to change that belief, what would you want to change it to?
I guess I'm worth spending money on, money that I earn, that I work hard to earn.
Okay, so that's the new belief you want to adopt is I'm worth spending money on. Okay, awesome. I love it. Let's see if we can get some concrete evidence that's going to reinforce this new belief. Because if we're trying to rewire our brain and believe something new, it's really helpful to have some evidence to support that so that we can cement that new belief into our mind. So, new belief I'm worth spending money on. What are 3 examples of that are true? That you spent money on yourself and you consider it a good investment or just a good purchase? We've got one, the football game this
Yeah.
last weekend. You spent money on yourself, you sat on the 50-yard line, you loved it, and you thought that was an awesome purchase. See if we can come up with at least 2 more.
I really enjoy I'll do, like, yoga classes once a month with a good friend, and we'll go out to eat afterwards, so, like, buying the yoga class and then going out to eat with her.
Okay, so you're spending the money on yourself and you have a great experience every time? Awesome. I love that one.
And then I guess 3rd one, I knit, um, and buying, like, there's cheap yarn and then there's nice yarn, and buying the nice expensive yarn is just a lot of fun and using that to create something that I use.
So you're creating something, still very practical because you use it, but you're taking pride in your creation and you're
Mhm.
investing in the right materials to make it look really nice. Okay, awesome. I love that. The reason why I want to walk through this with you is because when we're young, very young, we have a lot of neuroplasticity, right? And there's kind of this confirmation bias that happens where the early experiences are the lessons that become cemented into our brain. And it's so common to be 20, 30, 40, 50 years old and still acting based on what you learned when you were 6, 7, 8 years old. So now we're having to be intentional to try and make some adjustments here. You're a grown woman now. You have much better judgment than 8-year-old Juliana. And also, you just have the self confidence to know I can buy something if I want it because I can run the numbers and I can know what I can afford. I'm not going to put my family in a financial crisis because I'm buying something that I want and I'm worth spending money on, even if it's just because I want it and not because I need it.
Yeah, I like that.
I know you have this $200 a month thing and you've already spent some money this month with your friend at breakfast, but I'd love to get your input here as well, Brigham. I think it would be awesome if we just logged off this call right now and you went and bought that cast iron pan because like it's super fresh. We're talking about it and it'd be the perfect way to reinforce this new belief about yourself that you want to adopt. This doesn't give you permission to just go make impulse purchases whenever you want to. But in this setting where it's really crucial to this new lesson that you're learning about how it can be really good to spend money on things you enjoy, I think it would be the perfect opportunity. What do you think?
Well, we have even if we didn't, but we have a household budget number. And so if it makes it feel better to come out of the pot, or you're talking just do it because the new lesson is the only wanting something is a valid qualification for spending our money on it. Whether or
Yeah.
not it's useful, practical, necessary, I'm all for it. I like the pan. It's a nice pan. You have to admit. And I think that the joy of using good tools, every time we look at that, we're going to remember the lesson. We cook every day. We're going to use the pan every day. We're going to keep it nice. And that'll continue to reinforce the lesson that we are in control and we determine how to spend our money.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the now we're talking to Brigham the arborist that just bought a brand new tool today. Like if there's anyone in the universe that could understand the joy of enjoying good tools,
Oh, yeah.
was the one.
I've got a $700 pair of boots that I wear at work, and I've never regret that purchase in my life because it makes the ergonomics, the comfortability, the safety, the quality of the workmanship. I have no problem spending money on myself. So the power of a good tool, a $200 pan seems like a lot, but if it's something we use, the cost per use, we can look at it practically. But I think you should just buy it because you want it.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you have
well,
it saved? Like, is this something online? Like, is it in your Amazon cart?
it's exclusive. They don't have it on Amazon, Jackson. It's a nice pan. But yes, it is saved. We look over it every 6 months. We've watched videos of how they make them. It's agony. You should just buy it.
Tell you what, we're gonna do something fun here. Not fun for you, Juliana, because you're learning a new skill here of spending money on yourself. But I'm just gonna sit here and I want you to open whatever website you order it from and just buy it right now.
It's open. We're ready. I'm not doing it. You should push the phone toward me to do it. I approve.
Yeah, this is your bridge to cross.
Yeah. I've been enabling you by buying you nice stuff for a while. Now you got to buy nice stuff for yourself. Buy two. No, I'm just kidding.
Brigham's like, buy one for me.
I know.
Deep cut.
Oh, and she found a coupon code to
Naturally.
sweeten the deal a little bit. You have to.
Oh, it's free shipping.
Free shipping,
Free shipping and a coupon code. Love it.
$19 of savings.
All right. Gotta love shop, making it easy to buy things fast.
There you go. Confirmation email. We have the order number.
Okay, it's on the way to the house. Okay, here's what I want you to do from here, Juliana. I want this pan, every time you pick it up in your kitchen, I want this pan to be a physical reminder to you that you are worth spending money on. Let it be your new penguin, but like the new lesson that you want to remember of, I'm worth spending money on. And this is my pan and I love it. And never think about how much money it cost. Next time you sit down to look at your budget, don't even worry about that line item. Don't even look at it. Just think about how much it represents to you of proving to yourself that you're worth spending money on.
Okay. We'll try.
Good work.
Will you do that
Um,
for me?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. I promise it will change your life. Just like being able to relieve yourself of that guilt over every purchase, it'll open up new horizons for you. It will strengthen your relationship with Brigham. It will strengthen your relationship with yourself and your belief and confidence that you have in yourself. And it's going to be amazing. By the way, you might worry about it swinging too far to the other side where now you're justifying all these purchases you don't need. That's why you have a great financial partner next to you that if that ever happens, he's there to, help you know what the guidelines are and be like, okay, Juliana, we've gone too far the other direction. Just based on your personality, who you are and all of the habits that you have, that's probably never going to be an issue. So if you ever have to ask yourself that question, the answer is more likely to be, I'm not spending enough on myself than it is to be, I'm spending irresponsibly.
Okay.
We'll have a follow-up call 6 months from now, and you will be decked out in jewelry and be on a boat.
Juliana's like, I've got 700 dresses now. I love it. Okay. Since this is our last episode that we're recording together, we've had 4 calls together over the last 2 months or so. Would love to hear from each of you. What would you say is your biggest takeaway from our coaching sessions together?
I'll go first because you had to do a lot this time.
Yeah.
I came into it kind of like, oh, Juliana signed us up for this thing. I don't know if I like this guy very much. He's, talking about my dad, and like I got over that and understood the importance of like financial leadership and being a equal partner and pulling my weight mentally, understanding like the burden it is to shoulder the finances. And we've talked about how Juliana's been doing that for years now, and so trying to make it up to her by educating myself. I think it's got us on a good trajectory to like get me into gear. And now I think about it, consistently, and I'm looking forward and thinking about retirement and thinking about investment and how to maximize our money and just all these different things that I had sort of shifted the weight of that over to Juliana unknowingly. So I'm glad to have repented,
You're good.
been called to repentance.
You're good.
Well, I'm glad you gave me a chance, even though you thought I was a weirdo for talking about your dad in our
You're like,
first
hey, this guy doesn't even know me. But the wicked taketh the truth to be hard.
Stop.
For it cuts the very center.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for sharing, Brigham. And from my side of the table, I want you to know I think it's been incredible how you took that lesson and internalized it so quickly and immediately recognized the change you wanted to make of exercising more of that financial leadership in your home. And I think it's amazing, and you've set yourself up really well for success.
Thanks.
I guess for my part, more learning the emotions behind money, because I've always thought like, oh, it's just the numbers thing. We need to hit the numbers thing, and I didn't know how deeply our emotions for both of us were kind of rooted in it and rooted in our just how we were brought up. We've had a lot of conversations about that. And then just like the emotions behind spending money, like why does it feel bad to spend money? How can I make it not feel bad or feel good? I think that has really, really helped. And then also given like the permission to be like, okay, let's like dream a little and look at the big picture things and not just like narrow in on the day to day money in, money out.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Those are both great takeaways. Understanding the emotions behind your financial decisions and focusing on the big picture. That will serve you very well. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. And thank you for allowing me to share these calls publicly. I want you to know how brave both of you are for doing so. And also know that your experience will benefit so many people. There are so many people facing the exact same strengths, weaknesses, challenges, opportunities that you are. And they're only kept in the dark because they don't know where to find the help they're looking for. And so you sharing your story and your light gives them an opportunity to see a better path that they can take. There could be someone halfway across the country that you'll never have the chance to meet that will be inspired by your story to make a change, and it will improve their life. So that's amazing.
This is like a watershed moment for our financial, for the rest of our lives. This is a turning point, a trajectory shift. So thanks for
Thank
your
you.
expertise and being willing to chat about it.
If you're feeling behind in your finances and aren't sure of the next step forward, reach out to me. I have a limited number of individual coaching spots available and would be happy to help you. Use the link in the description below to reserve your free consultation today. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the show for more episodes like this one.